Millions in Syria and Iraq are facing water shortages as the region's longest river, the Euphrates, dries up.
Golden mountains appeared after the dried-up Euphrates River finished. Have you ever stopped to think about the vital role that rivers play in our world? They not only provide us with fresh water, but they are also essential for agriculture, transportation, and even for the cultural and historical significance they hold. One river in particular has been at the center of human civilization for thousands of years, the Euphrates. It's one of the oldest and most significant rivers in the world, witnessing countless historical events that have shaped the course of human history. But the Euphrates River is now facing a serious crisis. It's drying up. What does this mean for the world, and why is it so crucial to pay attention to this issue? Keep watching to find the answers and learn about the potential consequences of the Euphrates River's dwindling water levels. The Tigris is surpassed in length by the Euphrates, which, being the largest river in the Southwest Asia, is also the longest river in the region. The Tigris is not the longest river in Southwest Asia, rather the Euphrates is, and as a result, the Euphrates is longer. Fresh water is required for activities such as drinking, bathing, cooking, and other fundamental tasks, and this body of water also provides a source of fish. In the following minutes, we will discuss the qualities of the Euphrates River as well as its significance, providing you with all the information that you require. From the Euphrates beginning in Turkey to its end in Iraq, where it was completed, it is estimated to have a total length of approximately 2,800 kilometers, with portions of Syria falling along its path. Its hydrological basin has an approximate extension of 500,000 square kilometers, spanning all three countries and parts of Kuwait and Saudi Arabia, as well as some of its territory. It is not a lake or a glacier that serves as its origin. Rather, it is the point at which two rivers, the Karasu and the Murat, come together at an elevation of more than 3,000 meters. This river flows south and southeast into Iraq, just north of Basra, where it meets up with the Tigris to create the Shatt el-Arab, which finally empties into the Persian Gulf. It is fed by a limited number of rivers. In Syria, only the Sajur, Balik, and Jabur are considered to be tributaries, with the Jabur being the most significant as far as supplying the most amount of liquid discharge. The Euphrates receives no additional water sources after it enters Iraq. In addition to the rivers that were described earlier and a few smaller streams, the river receives the majority of its water from precipitation and the melting of snow. The rain that falls in the Armenian highlands provides the majority of the flow of water, with the heaviest amounts often falling during the months of April and May. Nobody really knows where the river Euphrates came from. Already during the Cretaceous period, a depression known as the Structural Trench came into existence. This was the location where the water would eventually settle and subsequent layers of sediment would be deposited. At the beginning of the Miocene epoch, a narrow strait joined the marine basins of the Mesopotamian region of northwestern Syria and the neighboring regions of modern-day Turkey to the Proto-Mediterranean Sea, and this region is now known as Turkey. Since the beginning of time, people have referred to it as blue gold, and for thousands of years it has been essential to maintaining life. Near its borders were inhabited areas, most of which have been forgotten by modern man. The size of the river has gradually shrunk over the course of time. It has been inhabited by Muslims, Christians, Kurds, Turks, and Judeo-Arabs, as well as its primary tributary, the Jabur River, has played host to these communities as well. Data pertaining to the earliest known civilizations have been uncovered in this region. The plants and animals that live in and around the Euphrates River. Both the Euphrates and the Tigris are notable bodies of water due to the fact that they both flow through the heart of significant desert landscapes. However, because of the waters and their influence in the intermediate zones of the rivers, a fertile zone was formed that is a part of the historical region known as the Fertile Crescent. The Fertile Crescent is the shape of a crescent and stretches from the Tigris-Euphrates to parts of the Nile in Egypt, through Assyria, and north to the Syrian desert and the Sinai Peninsula. Many different types of plants and animals, including those that don't exist anywhere else, are able to live because water provides the benefits they need to survive. For instance, the Euphrates soft-shell turtle is endemic to only the Tigris-Euphrates basin and a few other rivers in the Middle East. It surprisingly lacks the bony plates that are generally present on turtle shells in order to make them more durable. The carp are the most prevalent fish in the waters. Some species of carp include Tinolaosa elicia and Canthobrama marmide, Alburnus caerulus, Aspius vorax, Luciobaris eochinus, Alburnus celal, Barbus grepus, and Barbus sharpai, as well as additional species taxa. There is the Glyptothorax cous, the Nemechilus hamui, and the Tersina meacleus caswigi species, for instance. Mollusks belonging to the species Melanopsis nodosa may have spread throughout Iraq. The basin is inhabited by a wide variety of animals, including amphibians, birds, mammals, and insects, both aquatic and non-aquatic. The Basra warbler, the Iraqi otter, the pygmy cormorant, the gosling, the Mesopotamian gerbil, and the European otter are some of the animals that stand out. Near the Syrian and Iraqi border, the scenery transforms to grassland consisting of low plants and shrubs such as sagebrush and grass. Shirrick shrubs and some types of trees such as oaks flourish throughout the majority of the upper basin. Oaks are one example of a type of tree that thrives in this environment. On the banks can be found the growth of bushes, rushes, and even some forms of aquatic vegetation. Talking about the significance of the Euphrates River to the world economy. The Euphrates River was and continues to be an important resource for many of the towns and cities in the Middle East. Its waters enrich the soil in the surrounding area, making it more fertile for agricultural purposes and increasing the production of food, particularly crops like wheat and barley, as well as plants like fig trees. In addition to being a place where fish may be caught, drinking water, taking baths, preparing food, and other fundamental activities all require fresh water. Despite the fact that the river's waters are not appropriate for huge ships, it has been utilized as a method of trade ever since ancient times due to all these reasons, and it is currently possible to sail all the way to Hit, which is a city in Iraq. The development of hydroelectric plants is a highly significant aspect of the economy of the region since it contributes to the delivery of energy in the urban areas of Iraq, Syria, and Turkey. These urban areas are the primary consumers of electricity. More than 70% of the water in the basin of the Euphrates is typically utilized for productive purposes such as the generation of electricity, the irrigation of crops, and the provision of drinking water. It is believed that the river's water supply may significantly decrease well before it reaches Iraq as a result of the numerous dams and irrigation systems that have been constructed along the river, particularly further upstream. The drought is getting worse, especially in the more remote parts of the river, and there are disagreements between Turkey, Syria, and Iraq on who has the right to use the water. In addition, the marshes and wetlands in the vicinity of Basra have been nearly eradicated since the 1990s when Saddam Hussein, who was in power at the time, allowed them to dry up in an effort to coerce a large number of Arabs to leave the area. River pollution is yet another issue that must be addressed. The water quality in Iraq is negatively impacted by wastewater discharges from agriculture, industries, and residences. Also, the salinity of Iraqi rivers rises as water travels downstream. A climate that ranges from semi-arid to desert predominates throughout the Middle East, making the river basins of the Euphrates and Tigris two of the most significant water basins in the region. Since the headwaters of both rivers are located in eastern Anatolia, Turkey is considered an upstream country within the basin, while Syria and Iraq are located downstream. As a component of their overall plans for economic growth, the three riparian nations started to prioritize the enhancement of their water resources in the 1950s. The basin that includes the Euphrates and the Tigris has the greatest potential for both water and hydroelectric generation, and it is one of the several transboundary water basins that exist in Turkey. This particular basin accounts for nearly 35.6% of the country's total water potential. In light of this, Turkey made the decision in the 1960s to begin developing the Southeastern Anatolia Project, or GAP, and began construction of dams on the Euphrates and the Tigris, such as the Karakaya and the Ataturk dams. These dams are still in operation today. One of the most significant irrigation and development initiatives in the world is the Great Ape Project. At first, the project was envisioned as a hydropower generation and irrigational development program. However, in the late 1980s, it transitioned into an integrated regional development project with the goal of boosting the socio-economic well-being of the southeastern Anatolia region. The GAP region is home to around 25% of the nation's total water resource potential. Within the boundaries of GAP, there were plans to build a total of 22 dams and 19 hydroelectric power facilities. It is anticipated that after the GAP is finished, an area of 1.06 million hectares would be irrigated, and the yearly production of 27 billion kilowatt hours of hydroelectric power will be the goal. This would be sufficient to satisfy a significant portion of the nation's demand for energy. Syria and Iraq raised issues regarding the construction of the GAP dams on the Euphrates River. However, the dams that Turkey constructed in the deep valleys of the upper basin, which are located in an area with relatively moderate evaporation, help to prevent flooding during the rainy season and provide a steady flow of water along the basin. To this day, there is no trilateral agreement for the joint management of the basin that has been signed by all the riparian countries. On the other hand, between the years of 1960 and 1980, Turkey took the initiative to host informal meetings at which the three countries discussed the shared knowledge on a variety of technical topics. Since 1980, these get-togethers have been given the title of Joint Technical Committee Meetings as their formal designation. The Turkey-Syria Protocol on Economic Cooperation, which was signed in 1987, is a significant turning point in the process of addressing the transboundary water difficulties that were hurting the basin. It was decided that the protocol would serve as a transitional legal document until a permanent agreement could be reached between the three countries that have riparian rights on the Euphrates over the distribution of its waters. Article 6 of the protocol states that Turkey is obligated, while the Ataturk Dam reservoir is being filled, to release a yearly average of more than 500 cubic meters at the Turkish-Syrian border, and in cases where the monthly flow falls below the level of 500 cubic meters, the Turkish side agrees to make up the difference during the following month. The commitment was made by Turkey during the period when the reservoir was being filled, within the scope of a bilateral agreement that was reached between Iraq and Syria in 1989. The two nations agreed that 58% of the water that was released by Turkey from the Euphrates would be allotted to Iraq. This agreement was made within the framework of a larger framework that governed the relationship between Iraq and Syria. Another protocol was agreed between Turkey and Syria in 1987, this time addressing Turkish security concerns regarding Syria's cessation of assistance for the terrorist organization known as the Kurdistan Workers' Party, or PKK. This agreement was also related to security issues, and despite this fact, Syria maintained its assistance for the PKK throughout the decade that followed the signing of the protocols in 1987. After the signing of the Adana Security Protocol in 1998, which allowed Turkey and Syria to achieve an agreement and created the framework for large-scale cooperation ranging from trade to tourism, the water dispute between Turkey and Syria continued to be tumultuous. In the years that followed, the conflict between the two countries persisted. In addition, in the year 2001, a cooperation protocol for water resource management was signed between the GAP, Regional Development Administration, and Syria Gold, or General Organization for Land Resources. This protocol was signed between both organizations. Between the years 2000 and 2011, Turkey and Syria saw great developments in their bilateral relations. Because of this, the two countries were able to handle water-related challenges in a collaborative manner. Turkey had high-level strategic cooperation meetings with both Iraq and Syria in 2009. In this context, it was determined that Turkey and Syria would collaborate to build a dam on the border of their respective countries on the Euphrates River. The public perception changed as a result of this teamwork, and more people began to believe that the water problems in the Middle East could be handled by working together. Unfortunately, in light of the civil war that broke out in Syria in March 2011, work on the Friendship Dam project had to be put on hold. In a similar vein, Turkey and Iraq formalized their cooperation in the field of water management by signing a Memorandum of Understanding in the field of water in the year 2009. Direct references to cooperation on water resources management, the modernization of irrigation systems, and the protection and improvement of water resources in the Euphrates and Tigris rivers were included in the treaty. Although riparian nations frequently regard water to be a source of collaboration, downstream countries frequently use water as a precondition for maintaining transnational connections in a variety of domains, including the economy and security. In the 1990s, Iraq and Syria waged media campaigns and exerted pressure on international organizations in an effort to prevent Turkey from constructing the Ilsu Dam on the Tigris River for the purpose of producing power. This dam was to be built for the benefit of Turkey, and Iraq made a number of requests that resulted in the impoundment procedure being delayed multiple times. The Turkish authorities have made it clear that their country is aware of the concerns that the Iraqi people have over this matter. July 2019 marked the beginning of the process of filling. Because of this delay, Turkey was unable to continue producing power, which resulted in a huge loss of financial resources. The Turkish government's policy on its trans-boundary waterways emphasizes the importance of cooperation and the not to cause significant harm premise. It was related from Abu Hurairah that the Messenger of Allah stated, "The hour will not begin until the Euphrates uncovers a mountain of gold and the people fight for it. 99 people out of every 100 will perish, and every guy who is one of those 99 will think to himself, perhaps I will be the one who is spared." This according to Sahih Muslim, Volume 7, Hadith 7272. Nobody who was there at the time should have anything to learn from what happened then. Sahih Muslim, Volume 7, Hadith 7275. The end of the world will not come until Al-Furat is parched, resulting in the formation of a mountain of gold. In the struggle for it, humans will also kill one another. Those who fought over it resulted in the deaths of 99 out of every 100 persons, and every single one of them expressed their hope that they would be the ones to survive, according to HR Muslim. According to this hadith, the fact that the Euphrates River is dry and the advent of the Gold Mountain is a portent that the end of the world is near. At this time, the water discharge in the Euphrates River is exhibiting signals that it will significantly decrease in the near future. In the 7 years beginning in 2003, researchers discovered that the Tigris and Euphrates River basins in various parts of Turkey, Syria, Iraq, and Iran lost a total of 144 cubic kilometers of fresh water and 117 million acre-feet of fresh water, respectively. On the other side, there is a mountain of gold that has been discovered in the Congo. Many people believe that the hadith is connected to both of these occurrences. The issue is that there appears to be an obsession with connecting the Golden Mountains in Congo with the Euphrates River. This is problematic. The Euphrates is a river that originates in the northeastern part of Turkey, as stated by Dr. Sayouki Abu Khalil in Atlas al-Hadith al-Nabkawi. The river flows through Syria in the city of Jarablus, then goes through Iraq in the city of al-Bakmal, and finally flows into Iraq to meet the Tigris River at al-Kurna, which ultimately empties into the Arabian Gulf. The Taurus Mountains are bisected by the river. The river stretches for a total of 2,375 kilometers in length. Both the Al-Balik and the Al-Kabir rivers, which were once branches of it, have since run dry. And that's all we have for today's video, but we'll be right back with more soon. So please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to our channel as well, and you will always be notified of everything we've got going on for you. Have the best rest of your day, everybody, and thanks for watching.